Playing the stock market game. Welcome back to another episode of the Cash Kid podcast. Today, we're going to talk about how to buy and sell stocks, but never lose a dime of your own money. That's right. One of my former teachers is going to tell us how. That and more coming up. The Cash Kid podcast is underway. So, you got some cash, maybe from an allowance, or that money your grandma gave you for your 7th birthday.
Here you go, sweetie.
Woohoo! Thanks, Grandma! Whatever it is, what are you going to do with it? Spend it, hide it away, or maybe invest it? Let's start learning how to make that money grow. Time to learn how to be a cash kid. Kids today love to play online games. But in this episode, we're going to talk about how you can use $100,000 to buy and sell stocks with no regrets. That's right. It's known as the stock market game. It's how I first learned about my love of the stock market, and I never lost a penny of my own money. So, let me introduce our guest and my former teacher, Mrs. Amy Abbott, to the show to explain how it works. Mrs. Abbott is one of my teachers, and during the school year, we did something called the stock market game. We'll provide links to the game and more on our website at cashkidpodcast.com. I'm excited to have her join us for this episode to talk about the stock market game, and I guess you have her to thank for what led to this podcast. Mrs. Abbott, thank you for joining us today. First off, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Hey, Cash Kid. Thank you so much for having me on today. Like you said, I am a teacher. I teach 4th and 5th grade gifted students, and I'm a wife and a mom. I've got 2 girls that are 10 and 5.
When did you learn about the stock market game, and why did you feel it would be a good idea for students?
So I actually learned about the stock market game when I was in 5th grade because I played the stock market game as a student. But back then, it was not digital like it is today. So I had to bring in my dad's Wall Street journals, the actual physical newspaper, and I'd bring a big stack of them in for the week. And we would spread them out around our classroom, and then we had to look through all of those ticker symbols. We couldn't just search up the one we wanted. We'd have to search through and find our company and see how it had done for the week. So we kind of just checked that once a week. It wasn't like a daily thing. And I loved it. I still remembered that as an adult, and I thought it would be a great fit for my students because it's such a real world simulation. It teaches real life problem solving skills and just so many valuable life lessons for the future.
That's great. So how long have you been presenting this as an option for your students?
So I think that I first started presenting this as an option probably the first year that I started teaching gifted, which was in 2006. So that was about 17 years ago. It's been around for a long time.
So now let's get into how the stock market game works. Could you explain that a little bit?
Okay, so the stock market game is a 10-week online trading experience. Students begin with a fictitious $100,000 that they can use to purchase stock, bonds, and mutual funds. They can make any number of trades with their funds. And then at the end of the 10 weeks, the program sees whose portfolio is the most valuable. And the most valuable portfolio at the end of 10 weeks wins for their division. It's open for grades 4 through 12.
What do you feel your students learn from participating in the stock market?
All right, Cash Kid, I could go on for a long time about this because I think the students learn so much. You know, they're learning a lot of economic and financial principles. They're learning to work with real world variables, so like actual changing prices. They're working with a changing market. They're learning how current events can impact the economy. They're also learning about how companies get started and how a company can go public and grow. They are learning, teamwork, computer skills, critical thinking, problem solving. And another thing that I think is great is they're learning some valuable lessons about how to handle adversity and how to adjust and adapt when things do not go as planned. Because Cash Kid, did your stocks always do as well as you had hoped?
No.
What did you learn from playing the stock market game?
Well, I learned that in the stock market, you don't always have an 100% chance to gain money every single day. It's up and down. There's always risk. And it's a great way to actually tune your financial skills. Sure, it helps you learn how to budget and stuff like that, but it's a great experience to learn how to invest and know what companies wouldn't be as risky and other stuff like that.
Yeah, I forgot to mention when we were talking about how the game works that even though the money is obviously not real, we are using real-time pricing. So you're looking at the actual prices of companies making trades based on real-time pricing. So that's an important thing I forgot to mention.
Mm-hmm. So, Miss Abbott, do you know how schools get access or how individuals can play the stock market game?
Yes. Okay. So all you have to do is go to stockmarketgame.org. That's all one word, stockmarketgame.org. And then find your state. So, for example, we play the Alabama stock market game, but it's all run through the same website. Mm-hmm. It is open to anyone in grades 4 through 12. It is $15 per team. And I think you can have anywhere from 1 to 5 people on your team. They also offer scholarships. So if you can't pay the $15, they're very willing to help you with that. Schools get a discount. So the more teams you have, the cheaper it is. And you can play as an individual as you want. I actually tested that out last night. I tried to sign up my daughter, and it looks like anybody can sign up. You just need an adult to help you register. And it looks like now they're offering 3 sessions. So there's actually a summer session from July to August. And then they'll take a break and then do a 10-week session, usually kind of like around mid-September through December. Mm-hmm. And then again, kind of in the spring, maybe February to April or May, somewhere in there.
Yes, okay. So what have you learned from watching your students play this game?
So I love watching my students learn new things. I love seeing them find their passions, like the Cash Kid. And I have also learned that kids make great investors.
Do you feel like more financial advice would be beneficial to students?
I do. What do you think, Cash Kid?
Well, I think it would be amazing. I recently saw this Instagram post my mom showed me, and it was 35 years ago, if you invested $100,000 in the S&P, it would now be worth $1 million. But if you waited just 10 years, it would be only $300,000. So just 10 years, you can take $700,000 away from what you could have had.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is important to start as kids.
I agree. And I think that kids just need to be learning personal finance skills in general. You know, when you grow up and graduate and go away to college, you might have a lot of book smarts, but you might not know anything about how to manage your money or invest or grow your money. So I definitely think it's something that we should be teaching kids.
Yes, and what advice can you give other educators about the stock market game?
My biggest advice to other educators is just give it a try. Don't be intimidated if you don't personally know how the stock market works and how to do all of that. Just get in there and try it. Set yourself up an account. You can play the game alongside your students and learn with them. And I think that doing is the best way to learn. So just get in there and try it. It's not real money. So if you lose all your money, it's okay. It's a good learning experience. Yeah. Cash Kid, don't you think that you learned the most just by getting in there and playing the game?
Definitely. I was able to see how real trading actually worked and how news affects the stock market. It really was just self-explanatory once you got there.
Yeah, I agree. So I do a little prep work because my students are so young. The older kids might already know some of the stuff we do, but we talk about how companies get started, how they go public. But the most learning really happens once the game gets started and they just get in there and do it.
Are there any other things you would like to share?
I mean, I really just am a big fan of the stock market game. I think it's a great program. They have so many tools for educators. So when I log in as a teacher, they have a wealth of resources for me. So they've got lesson plans, they've got articles, they have tips. So there's all kinds of things for the adult, as well as just how to guide your students into playing the game. And I just think they can learn so much. Look at the Cash Kid. I mean, we can thank the stock market game for this awesome podcast. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, Miss Abbott. I would say if you're thinking about it, just don't think, oh no, what if it doesn't go well? Well, it doesn't matter. What does matter is the experience. Remember, the money is fake, and it's a great learning experience, so I would do it no matter what.
What about teachers that are thinking about trying it, but maybe they think it's too hard?
Oh no, just do it. I would love for other teachers to be able to learn because it would be very beneficial for other kids.
Now, Cash Kid, I have a question for you.
Yes, Miss Abbott, what is it?
Are you still investing with fictitious money, or have you moved on to the real thing?
I've moved on to the real thing.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for having me on today.
Oh, thank you, Miss Abbott. Teachers, we truly have to thank them for so much. Well, there you have it. How to play the stock market game and never lose a penny of your own money. Visit the CashKidPodcast.com website for a link to the stock market game and state-specific rules for the stock market game, plus links to register. We have so much more planned for this podcast, so stay tuned. Thank you for listening. Cash Kid out.
The information presented represents the views and opinions of the guest. This podcast does not intend to provide personal investment advice. This content has been made for informational and educational purposes only. To make a full and informed investment decision, we advise you to speak with a financial advisor. And for kids, definitely your parents first before investing.